All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of great millstone. Salutations to the 144,000, one third elect of the nation of Israel out there pushing the word, the gospel, and remaining faithful. All right, we are currently in the Feast of Unleavened Bread, where we eat unleavened bread for the next week, as commanded in the Holy Scriptures. Exodus, the 12th chapter. So this is a special week for the nation of Israel. All right, this is our highest holy day. But I just wanted to get into this lesson. One thought that I had some days ago was, you know, seeing all these events take place in the news, dealing with Trump, dealing with Ukraine, dealing with Russia, dealing with the EU, tariffs. All right. All these things are clear signs and indications that, as per prophecy, Esau's transition into the NWO, or his world order that's new, or NWO, it's not going to be a peaceful, seamless transition. All right. It's not going to be a cakewalk for Esau to attempt to transition into this new order. Okay. Which it shouldn't be, man. To hell with Esau and his hopes and aspirations of creating hell on earth. It's already, hell is condition played out on earth, but this demon wants, some type of sci-fi movie with robots terrorizing, what's left of the human population, man. All right. And the Lord is not about to allow that to happen and be fully set up. All right. And the Lord is throwing monkey wrenches in Esau's plans, which we, the prophets, sit back, see these things. All right. We see those monkey wrenches before they, some of them before they come. All right. We prophesy of it, and then when it comes, we report on it. Okay. So, starting here in Psalm 49 and 11, it says, "Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names." Okay, so I'm gonna read that in the NLT. It says, "The grave is their eternal home, where they will stay forever. They may name their estates after themselves." All right, so Esau, he assumes that his houses is going to continue forever, meaning, the elites have understanding that there's reincarnation in the Bible, which is why they promote, a certain degree of incest. All right, they keep it all in the family, so that way that heirloom stays within that family. All right, that bloodline. Okay, and they do that for the purposes of, when those high ranking individuals within, the Rothschild family, the Rockefeller family, the Gettys, the DuPonts, even some of these politicians like the Kennedys and things of that nature, you know, they want to be set back up when they come back in the reincarnation, and where they left off at, with wealth, with power, okay, control. All right, so they really assume that their inward parts is going to continue forever. I mean, their inward parts, their inward thought, is that those, the dwelling places, their control, is going to continue forever. All right, which is why, we see the certain actions taking place by way of the leader of the Edomites. Okay, and what we see happening with, the Ukraine situation and war and tariffs and all that. The EU hitting back with tariffs on certain items from America. That's all. That's all. A preparation to set them up in a good steed that's gonna have them, continue that control. All right, which the Lord is gonna greatly disappoint them all. All right, so this is Job 20 and 22, and this whole chapter is fire, but I'm gonna get to the point. So it says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. All right. So in the NLT, it says, in the midst of plenty, they will run into trouble and be overcome by misery. All right. And that's what's about to happen to these elites. They is trying to set forth deals, and there's a peace deal that the U.S. and Ukraine has agreed upon, but now they're trying to shop that um to Russia. They're trying to sell it to Russia. All right, have Russia agree to it. But Russia ain't going for it. Okay, so what they thought they would be able to have accomplished by way of certain treaties and things of that nature, dealing with just Russia and Ukraine, that war uh, in itself is not going to come to pass. Okay, so when it says in the fullness of its sufficiency that he shall be in straits, every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And when you look up that word wicked, it comes from the Hebrew word amal, which means a laborer, a wretched one. Okay, so the whole world is seeing how the elites have been able to get over on everybody, and everybody's tired of it. Okay, everybody's tired of it. All right, which that's going to cause commotion. It says, when he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. So when they think they about to pretty much put the had that ceremony, that ribbon cutting ceremony for their NWO, that's when the Lord is going to intervene. Okay, and a major part of that ribbon cutting ceremony would be, Esau assuming that he's about to go for the gusto and give everybody that microchip. Okay, because that's really the icing on the cake, would be, ushering out that microchip and persecuting those that deny it. Sending them back to the spirit world. As the scriptures say, beheading and killing those that don't take that mark. Okay, and then the sheeple that do take it, they being pretty much incorporated into that new system. That's what Esau wants. That would be him filling his belly. But guess what? When when they about to when they pretty much usher that in, all right, like the scriptures say, the Heavenly Father is going to cut the time short. All right, the Lord is not about to allow Esau's demonic dream to come to fruition. All right, and him, pretty much having his way. All right. It says, well, there's more to it, but the Lord raining down that wrath upon him is going to be, while he's eating, is going to be that thermonuclear destruction. Okay, because while Esau's trying to get that NWO, B system completely set up, all right, which entails that microchip, everybody being microchipped, you still have, commotion and turmoil and war going on, with the Russia and Ukraine. All right, the beast is going to hate the whore. The EU is going to, turn on America. and a bunch of other things. So the seamless and smooth transition that Esau thought he was gonna have, he's not gonna acquire that. He's not gonna have that. The Lord is throwing all kind of monkey wrenches out there in his plans, man. Okay. Now, real quick, let me get this article real quick. It says this is from RT. It says expel Soros agents. Hungary issues list of demands to the EU. Okay. So this is Viktor Orban has urged Brussels to strongly protect the national interests of member states. All right. So he's a member of the EU, the European Union. All right. As the president of Hungary, and he's saying to get rid of Soros agents. All right. Which we know George Soros has done a lot of BS, a lot of damage, around the world, by way of his political influence, um, and things of that nature, um, especially during the Obama administration, so on and so forth. Okay, doing a bunch of psychological operations to get the dumb sheeple to participate. George Floyd riots and marches and a bunch of other things. All right. So it says Brussels should take the decisive steps towards denying EU membership to Ukraine and ending the influence of foreign agents linked, to billionaire George Soros on the bloc's policies. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has stated he has called for the absolute national sovereignty of member states over domestic issues. In a post on X on Saturday, Orban urged Brussels to expel Soros agents from the European Commission and remove corrupt lobbyists from the European Parliament. All right, in which all these organizations is completely corrupted. Okay, completely corrupt. The only institution, order, or government that will not be at all corrupt will be the government that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai sets up, led by Yahweh Shai. Okay? It says the Hungarian prime minister has a long history of opposing foreign funded organizations in his country, particularly those sponsored by Soros. Orban has repeatedly accused the Hungarian American magnate of meddling in Hungary's domestic affairs, undermining traditional family values and promoting a globalist agenda. Okay, and that's all that the elites, the EU, the United Nations, WHO, okay, NATO, all of them, desire a a globalist agenda. They they want to do away with family values and promote that globalist agenda. All right, which is nothing more than the beast system. Okay, it says Orban also called for a union, but without Ukraine having demanded peace, freedom, and unity. All right, and there's more to it, but let me see. Hold on. I'm gonna read a little more. It says Budapest has strongly opposed the rapid acceptance of Ukraine into the EU, citing the potential harm to the bloc's economy. Kiev applied for membership shortly after the escalation of the conflict with Russia in February 2022 and was granted candidate status within just 3 months. The demands voiced by Orban were included in a broader list of contained calls for protecting Europe's Christian heritage, banning the unilateral re-education of children, eliminating global debt, and establishing equity before the law of all members of the bloc. All right, which all this sounds good, but all these EU members is they're all demons. You know, ain't none of them considered or not considered, but concerned with doing the will of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Okay, and this is what Yahushai being that stone. All right, this is what he's coming to hit at the toes. All right, and we're gonna get that to destroy. All right, and this is also from RT, as it says, NATO countries should restore ties with Russia, bloc chief. Okay, so now Russia is not a part of NATO, but a lot of EU nations are a part of NATO. But you have NATO wanting to restore ties with Russia. Okay, and currently you got America trying to restore ties with Russia. So you got to ask yourself why is it that either one, you got two allies, America and NATO, that are beefing with each other, but both of these allies that are beefing with each other are trying to restore ties with Russia. You got to ask why is that? You know, and this is from the 14th of March, which was yesterday. It says it will be a normal, it will be normal for relations to be resumed once the Ukraine conflict is over, Mark Rutte has suggested. And this dude is the Secretary General of NATO. All right. It says Europe and the United States should gradually normalize relations with Russia once the Ukraine conflict is over, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has said. The statement comes a day after the head of the U.S.-led military bloc met President Donald Trump in the White House, and amid ongoing efforts by Washington to establish a ceasefire between Moscow and Kiev. Trump has also expressed interest in restoring economic ties with Russia, an idea that was supported by Russian President Vladimir Putin. Speaking to Bloomberg TV on Friday, Rutte recalled that he had many dealings and many negotiations with Putin while Prime Minister of the Netherlands. Long term, Russia is here. Russia will not go away, he said. It's normal if the war would have stopped from it's normal if the war would have stopped for Europe somehow, step by step, and also for the U.S. step by step to restore normal relations with Russia, he argued. Ukraine's possible membership of the bloc is off the table in the current peace process, Rutte confirmed, a point Moscow has insisted upon. All right, so you got Moscow, all right, Russia insisting that Ukraine's membership be taken off the table. All right, we don't want Ukraine being part of NATO because NATO Russia and Ukraine are they border each other. So if Ukraine becomes part of NATO, then you have NATO right in the backyard of Russia. All right, which would be too convenient, for NATO, which would pose a great inconvenience for Russia. All right, so you have the EU nations steadily trying to push for Ukraine, certain of them to at least Ukraine itself, is pushing hard and heavy for them to become part of NATO. Okay, and certain EU nations, agree with that, but certain EU nations don't agree with that. You know, but that whole situation over there is unraveling. Okay, it's unraveling. They think they know what they're doing, but it's gonna lead to all of them being destroyed. Okay, so that's all I'm gonna read on this. Now, let me grab this here in Daniel. uh, 2 and 40. It says, "And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise." All right, and this is talking about ancient Rome. All right, the ancient Roman Empire, which is revived into what we know as NATO and the EU. NATO being the military, uh, aspect of the ancient Roman Empire that's revived, and the EU being the economic portion of it. Okay, in which they use NATO. America is pretty much the muscle. All right, because America is part of NATO as well, but it's like the attack dog. Okay, so the ancient Roman Empire though was known for its use of iron, for weapons. Okay, which that's what allowed them to do a lot of damage. It contributed to that. Verse 41, it says, "And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but they but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay." So I'm gonna read that in the NLT, verse 41. It says, "The feet and toes you saw were a combination of iron and baked clay, showing that this kingdom will be divided. Like iron mixed with clay, it will have some of the strength of the iron." All right, so this here, this 10 toes going into the EU. The feet and the toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, that's going into the EU, which is why you had back in, I want to say, 2017ish, you had the Brexit, which was Britain exiting uh the EU. All right, so certain of those EU countries, you know were are strong, economically strong, have some type of military, standing military. All right, some have nukes like France, so on and so forth. But you have a lot of them that are weak, that went through, financial troubles and struggles, like Greece back in like 2011, 2012. You had Greece, that they had their banks had collapsed, you know, um, so on and so forth. Okay, so you have, this currently taking place. Um, and once again, reading those articles we read on RT, dealing with, you know, the president of Hungary, pretty much condemning, George Soros meddling within the EU. Okay, and also, um, Ukraine trying to wanting to become a part of NATO. Uh, and then America trying to normalize ties with Russia, and as well as EU members trying to normalize ties with Russia. All that is just a cluster fuck, for lack of a better term, of just confusion. Of things that's not gonna work. Okay, it's not gonna work. Um, verse 42, it says, "And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken." All right, so you have certain of those countries that are you know uh, can hold their own, and then you got others that have to depend on the other EU nations. All right, which pretty much they all have to depend upon each other in order to be able to even pose a threat to Russia. Okay, it says, "And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay." Okay. And so, you see the type of deals and, pacts and agreements and, things of that nature that the EU, has with themselves and even venturing out to, other countries that are not members of the EU or NATO, you know, but all those plans is they're not gonna uphold, they're not gonna stand, nothing's gonna work out in their favor. All right, here in these last days. Now, I went to DeepSeek and I asked the question. It says, "What are some examples of EU nations?" Uh, I should have said being, but I said be. I typed that right when I woke up. But it says, "What are some examples of EU nations being partly strong and other EU nations being partly weak?" So this is what it threw out. It says the strength or weaknesses of EU nations can be assessed across various dimensions such as economic performance, political influence, social stability, and military capability. Here are some examples illustrating how certain EU nations might be considered partly strong or partly weak in different areas. Economically strong but politically weak. So Germany, which Germany they just uh they just got a new prime minister, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Um so Germany says strong. Germany is the largest economy in the EU with a robust industrial base, strong exports, and a significant role in shaping EU economic policies. Weak. Despite its economic strength, Germany often faces criticism for its cautious approach to EU political uh, integration and leadership, particularly during crises like the Eurozone debt crisis or the refugee crisis. All right, Netherlands, strong. The Netherlands has a highly developed economy, a strong trade sector, and is known for its innovative agricultural and technological industries. Weak. The country has a relatively small population and limited geopolitical influence compared to larger EU members, which can limit its political clout in broader EU decision making. Okay, so politically strong but economically weak. France, strong. France is a key political player in the EU, often driving initiatives related to defense, foreign policy, and deeper integration. It is also a nuclear power and a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. Weak. France has faced economic challenges, including high public debt, unemployment, and slower growth compared to some of its EU peers. Italy, strong. Italy is a founding member of the EU and has significant political influence, uh, particularly in Mediterranean and Southern European affairs. Weak. It says the Italian economy has struggled with low growth, high public debt, and banking sector vulnerabilities, which have sometimes made it a source of concern for EU stability. Are a socially stable but economically weak. Sweden, strong. Sweden is known for its high standard of living, strong social welfare system, and political stability. Weak, while economically stable, Sweden's economy is relatively small compared to larger EU nations, and it faces challenges related to integration and housing affordability. Denmark, strong. Denmark enjoys high levels of social cohesion, a well functioning welfare state, and a strong rule of law. Weak. Its economy, while stable, is smaller and less influential compared to major EU economies like Germany and France. economically weak and politically weak. Greece, weak. Greece has faced severe economic difficulties, including a debt crisis that required multiple bailouts from the EU and IMF, International Monetary Fund. It says it also has limited political influence within the EU. Strong. Despite these challenges, EU has made significant despite these challenges, Greece has made significant reforms and has strategic importance in the Eastern Mediterranean. Bulgaria, weak. Bulgaria is one of the poorest countries in the EU with lower GDP per capita and higher levels of corruption. It has limited political influence within the EU. Strong. Bulgaria has been making gradual progress in economic reforms and has potential for growth, particularly in sectors like IT and tourism. Militarily strong but economically weak. Poland, strong. Poland has been increasing in defense spending and modernizing its military, making it one of the more significant military powers in the EU, particularly in the context of NATO. Weak. While its economy has been growing, Poland still faces challenges related to income inequality, regional disparities, and reliance on EU structural funds. Romania, strong. Romania has been investing in its military capabilities and plays a strategic role in NATO's eastern flank. Weak. The country faces economic challenges, including corruption, brain drain, and infrastructure deficits. I gotta look brain drain up. What that means? Brain drain. That's funny. Conclusion. It says the strength and weaknesses of EU nations are often context dependent and can vary across different dimensions. While some countries may excel in one area, they may face significant challenges in others, leading to a complex and dynamic interplay within the EU. All right. So there you have it. Partly strong and partly weak, man. All right, just as the scriptures say. All right, so continuing on to verse 44, Daniel 2:44 says the divine kingdom. All right, and this is what we are looking for. It says, and in the days of these kings shall the power of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. All right, so that's the kingdom of heaven. All right, spearheaded by Yahweh Shem Shai. All right, the kingdom of heaven ain't gonna be left for other people, meaning non-Israelites. All right, it's not. We're not gonna make pacts and joint this and joint that with the heathen in regards to them ruling alongside of us. All right, we ain't gonna do that. All right, the kingdom of heaven is for the Israelites and the Israelites alone, with every other nation being in subjection underneath us. Okay. In verse 45 it says, for as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it break in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold. So all the kingdoms, the ancient kingdoms that were in that statue that Daniel had saw, or that he pretty much broke down for the king. You had the various kingdoms that ruled. Okay, before you had Rome rule. All right, you had the Babylonians. Okay, You had you had the Greeks, all right. You had the Romans. You had the Medo-Persians. Okay. You had all these nations that ruled, and then the last up was Rome, ancient Rome. Okay. Um. So yeah, you had let me see. So you had the brass, which was the Grecian Empire. Okay. You had the Medio Persian Empire. Okay. You had all these different kingdoms that ruled, and last of all, okay, and the head of gold, all right, the first one in that vision was the Babylonians. Okay. And so, last up, like I said, was the Romans, which are revived in the earth as America, NATO, the EU. All right, and that's what's going to be in power when the Lord returns to destroy it. Okay, so it says, for as verse 45, for as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it break in pieces the iron. All right, so the chariot that Yahushua is returning on is so big it looks like a mountain that was just taken up from the earth and just in the sky, floating, flying around. It says, and that it break in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold. The great power hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure. Okay, so all these kingdoms, are going to be ultimately destroyed to never ever come back into rulership. All right, because the kingdom of heaven is going to be a everlasting kingdom, a kingdom that will never fall. Okay, so the transition that the elites of Esau Edom think that they're gonna have with setting up this NWO is gonna be they're mistaken. All right, they're mistaken. They're gonna be destroyed, and the ones that survive are going into captivity. So, I brought to Zah. This was edifying. Till next time, I say shalom.